Okay, so we've got our room schedule now, and we talked about a few different things. We showed how we started the schedule, and we showed how we can begin to edit the schedule to kind of make sense for us. But perhaps we want to break out our schedule in a different way. And one of the ways we often do that is by adding parameters. So how would we add a parameter? Well, there's a number of different things or different ways we could go about this. And right now we're going to work with the properties manager's box. But later we're going to talk about some of these panels and how we can do things with panels up here. Because it's kind of like two different ways in AutoCAD. I like to always teach my students to see something, and we'll look at it in this way as well. Okay, so we decided to use the number column to kind of prioritize our schedule. And A, B, C, D, it makes sense. So certain things can take priority if we allow them to. So let's do something. Let's go over into the fields category. And in the fields category, now I can add another parameter. So I'm going to add a level parameter because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 levels and a roof. So I'm going to click on level, and I'm going to go ahead and stick that in there. And I'm going to move it up a couple of spaces. Just kind of put it in the middle. Now you can see how the level is what? How it designates where certain actual rooms are in this. And when I do that, one of the things I want to go back and do is when I look at my level parameter, right, I can look at a filter for that. And so maybe if I take out of here the name and the number, right, one of the sorts I could do is say, hey, I want to know, I want to do this. I want to know what rooms are on what level. I really don't care so much about numbers right now. I want to know, and I want to group together the things that are on the same level. So what I can say is by level, right? And I can put them in ascending order again. I can say, give me a header and a footer this time. And in that header and footer, right, I can say, how about title counts only? Just 1 minute. I'm sorry, I wasn't sharing my screen. Thank you. Appreciate that. Sorry about that, people. Let me share my screen. Hopefully that will pop up in a second. There we go. All right. I apologize. So let me do that again, and I'll kind of undo that so you can see that. What I did, people, is I went in and I said, I want to add another field, the level field, and I moved it up 2 places, right? And then under sorting and grouping, I say, let's take away the name and the number sorting and grouping right now. And let's sort and group all of these rooms, right? Let's sort them by level. And let's add in ascending order a header and a footer and see what that gets us. And we're going to do title count and totals. What do I mean by that? Well, if I click on this grand totals, right, and I say, okay, now look what it's done. It's broken out the rooms level by level by level. And on those different levels, it's showing me what? The rooms, right? But let's go back in and see if now, while I'm in here, right, and I say sorting and grouping, I can then do them by number. Yes, and then it puts them in order of my numbers, as you can see, level by level by level. And that can be handy for us, people, because getting a count of the rooms on your level can be something that is very, very helpful if someone wants to decide or say, hey, on the underground level, I've got X amount of square foot that's available, right? But wait a minute, how do I maybe get some totals for square footage in here for the area? Well, let's go back into the fields and let's look and say, let's say for the area portion of this, let's go over here and say, let's look at the area, right? And see if we can get any total. I'm not getting any totals right now for area, and that would be very helpful. Let's pause the video and talk about something for a moment. Okay, so I want you to kind of think about it. No one's kind of jumped in to help me out, so I'm going to make you think your way through it a little. And then in the next video, I'll come back and I'll share it. But what I want you to understand is that um, you got to think as you go through when you start prioritizing things and deciding what sort of information you want to see here. Okay, so what I want everybody to do is go ahead and I'll give you about 5 minutes or so to add the level and then to sort by level, like you see here. And then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about how to show the area totals. Because we're seeing totals for what? For the number, right? So I've got a number of rooms, but I don't see totals for something that makes sense. And that would be for the areas. It would make sense that you'd want to see these totals. And we'll pick that up and we'll look at it in the next video, okay?